How's everything going? How's your week been?
Fine. We preparing Ballet there for June. Will be a big premiere here. So, and also
Wow.
for me, it will be premiere because I'm gonna be dancing Nikia, and I never did it before. I danced Gamzatsi
Oh
before,
wow.
so
How has that been? You seem like such a Nikia in my mind.
well, when I danced Gamzatsi, when we had Ballet there in Vienna, I was 20. And it was production from Vladimir Malakhov of Bayer. So I guess I'm not guessing. I was just way too young. Yeah, and but I loved doing Gamzatsi as a role also. But now it's very interesting moment for me because it's one of those iconic roles. I mean, in Europe, and it's not that often that Biders is in repertoire, but in Russia, it's a very important role for a
Yeah.
ballerina.
What production of Bayadere are you doing?
It will be based on the production of Mariinsky Theater,
Okay.
but our teacher, Albert Mirzoyan, he will do the reduction, and he will add some scenes. For example, at the end, after the shades, there will be one more scene in the temple, the actual wedding, and everything gonna crumble and everyone gonna die, and Nike's soul will save Solor's soul. So that's gonna be the difference to the Mariinsky theater version, because with the end of the shades scene, that's the end of the ballet
I
there.
wanted to introduce you a little bit if people just aren't as familiar with your career with you. So you were born in St. Petersburg, Russia. And I know you trained at the prestigious Vaganova Academy from 1996 to 2004. And then following your graduation from Vaganova, you went on to dance with the Mariinsky Theater. And then in 2010, you became a first soloist with the Vienna State Opera in Austria up until 2022. And currently, you're a principal dancer with the Hungarian State Opera in Budapest. And you've had
Yes,
an incredible repertoire over your career. And you most recently won the award for Best Dancer from the Hungarian Dancers
yes,
Association. Congratulations,
yeah.
that's
Thank you so
incredible.
much. Yes, it just happened last week. This week actually, I received it, and it's um, great feeling to be appreciated that much after such a short time of me working here. So I'm just 2.5 seasons here, but that's a great honor, and I'm really grateful for that, because it shows that once again that I really did a good right step by changing and coming and dancing here.
It speaks volumes as to the type of dancer that you are. It's very well deserved.
Thank you so much.
So what
Yeah.
was your first encounter with ballet?
When I was 4 years old, my mother brought me to Mariinsky Theater to watch Nutcracker. And I mean, I'm sure every small girl just being fascinated by this uh, what's happening on stage. But I wasn't just like stunned. I just couldn't move, and I couldn't leave the theater after the performance ended. And my mother asked me what's wrong, what's happening, and I said I want to do exactly this in my life. And I was 4 years old, so
You knew.
um, I knew already then, and I love what I do, and yeah. So that's what was my first uh, time seeing ballet and falling in love with it.
And was she instantly supportive of that? Did you like instantly get into lessons?
Ye- Yes, absolutely. I mean, at first she thought I'm joking or like didn't take me seriously, but for next half a year I was not letting her be until she did some steps towards me starting doing ballet. And my mother is a doctor, so through her um, connections between doctors, she found private studio where ex ballerina who graduated from Vaganova and started dancing in Mariinsky, but had to stop because of the injury. She was teaching in this private studio. I mean, I have this side of my character, the perfectionism, and I have it from my mother, obviously. She said, like, if we already doing it, has to be on the highest level.
Yeah.
So that's why. And at first, she brought me there just to see if anything can come out of it, because no one in my family was close to ballet at all. When this teacher saw me, and she said, "Well, there is a big potential, and of course, I would like your daughter to be in my classes." And so, like half a year later, I danced in the children's Nutcracker or a snowflake. So yes, that's how I started.
At that young age, I know some people say that they love the discipline starting at a young age, and some people say that they just can't, they can't handle it. How were you in ballet lessons when you were like
Um,
first
I
starting?
I think it's still how I'm now. I just love to create. It was difficult to keep me in line, like not moving or like not dancing around, and it's still like that. So, but that's what is really needed for this profession. So I'm the
Yeah.
teacher. Um, uh, Nina Viktorovna Ivanovic, her name is, and she understood it and she supported it. And the funny thing that years later, when I um, passed the exam to study in Vaganova school, um, this my first ballet teacher, she was actually teaching by then in Vaganova school, and she was teaching historical dance, and she was my teacher then. That was nice. The world is very small, and ballet world is even smaller.
So your transition from your early ballet lessons to Vaganova, what's the process like to get into Vaganova?
It's very tough, but as a child, you don't think about it. When I was getting into Vaganova school, there was a competition of 40 kids for one place. And actually, it's also interesting because um, I was doing ballet or dance in this private school, but my mother didn't really consider it something what I gonna do for life.
Mhm.
And so um, also she agreed for me to do ballet because that's very good for the posture, for straightening your back muscles, and it's good for anyone, of course. Uh, so I mentioned already that she's a doctor, and she got in touch through friends with the doctor of Vaganova Academy, and asked her the question, like maybe someone can take a look now is there still potential, or it just we stay as an amateur twice a week maybe. And
Yeah.
so we actually came into Vaganova school to visit this doctor and to get her opinion. And she took my hand and she said, we will come back in half an hour. And actually, this doctor, she arranged it that we came on the day when there was a first tour of exam to get into school. So she took me and she brought me directly to the exam. And the first tour is they check your abilities, your foot, how high the arch is, how
Mm.
soft are you, how turned out are you, and also your musicality. So you have to dance to the piano music, polka. You have to move, you have to dance polka. And of course, because I already did ballet, I knew what is polka and what to do. And also, um, parallel, I was studying in music school. I actually also graduated in music school on the piano. Um, and I actually find it very, very important for ballet dancers as a children to study any musical instrument because it helps enormously in our profession later on. Um, so that was the first tour, and this doctor brought me back to my mother, and she said she passed. And none of us expected it. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing there, and my mother didn't know where we're going. But yeah, we were both very happy. Then, but of course, they said, yeah, I need to stretch a bit more, like I'm very soft and flexible, but no one was pushing for me to be super stretched at that moment yet.
Yeah.
And they recommended it until the next tour to pay attention to it. So we started, my mother also found the way to have the gymnastic lessons for me. It's all about how supportive my mother was. Yeah, she did everything what was needed for me to achieve my dream. Um, then the second tour, it's a medical examination. Um, Various doctors checking you, not just the orthopedic doctor, but also cardiologist, how your vision you are, how good the vision you have, because if you have bad vision, it's not recommended to have physical exercises. This I also passed. And then the third tour, it was kind of similar to first one. It's your physical abilities, but more seriously. They take you more serious, and like there is much more concurrence at this point. But I also passed it, and there is two way that they take you. It's they take you, and it means you are safe for the first year, or they take you under the condition that at the half a year exam you might be thrown out. But I was taken without this condition, so I was in. I mean, it's really harsh, and I hear a lot of opinions that it's not humane, but because there is also this index from how tall you are, how long your legs you are, and they also look at your parents to kind of see in which direction you might grow.
Ah,
If you have tall father, so you might grow tall. If you have both parents short, you will not grow much. So for example, for boys, it's um, not a big plus. And I hear that a lot of people say that it's inhumane, this index, the mathematical index. But I honestly think that they actually, by doing this, they save so many children's lives. I mean, professionally, that if they already see at this age that the child will not be proportionate enough to do ballet, to wear tutu on stage, and they tell it on the spot that you are not capable of doing ballet. So the child already can go other way with 10 years old and not waste few years and then being let go from later classes and then have to start from zero um, in other school and maybe find some other like vision of the life. So I actually think it's really practical.
Did it give you kind of a confidence boost once you passed? Were you kind of like ready to go
Uh,
when you got in, or were you nervous still, or
I was
confidence
not
wise?
nervous because I didn't know what was happening. And as a child, I was always shy. And so I wasn't confident as a child. And not only as a child, but also later on. So I'm a shy person and I'm a quiet person if I don't feel comfortable. But as soon as I feel comfortable, I'm very loud. I'm laughing and but it means that I'm feeling good.
Did you find it difficult, especially as a shy person, to kind of, did you have like a group that you stuck to?
Um, I mean, of course, it probably depends on each person, how open you are. But of course, we were all friends. I mean, we spent 6 days a week for 8 years, all day together. Of course, we were also concurrents.
Yeah,
But that's the dynamics that in ballet world exist always,
right,
starting from first day in the ballet school, then graduating, who is getting to the theater, who is not, and then in the theater, okay, you slowly reach to the top, but then you're not alone there. There are other principles, but we call it's very healthy and very um, helpful, um, healthy concurrence, you know. If you see, oh, my colleague, for example, here, my colleague, one of my colleagues is Tatiana Melnik, and she has incredible technique. And since 2.5 years, I see her every day in the training and then in the performances. Of course, I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to do. I want to do more. I want to do better my way. Of course, still keep the artistic way most important, but still I want to be more technical or more cleaner technique to achieve cleaner technique. So it's actually pushing me forward to work with such a great colleague. I think it's in every profession like this. When you see that someone is good in something, you want to also become good at, at this or even better. So it's a healthy concurrence. It's very healthy in our profession, not the unhealthy one, not the one with the intrigues and I don't know, like when the friendships getting you some roles or those ways. It's also happening very often in the artistic world, and this is also normal, and you have to learn how to deal with it. often is not about how good you are or how not good you are, but it's about absolutely something else what you cannot do anything to avoid this. That's one of the side of our profession which I would say for to young dancers, like don't get frustrated in some moments when you check the cast list and you see yourself as a third cast and you were expecting to be the first cast, you are still on the list and you're still gonna dance it. So that's the most important. You still get to work on this role, and work always pays off later. Yeah.
That's a really great way. It's a great way to just kind of look at not only dance, but
Everything in life,
anything.
yes.
Yeah.
Because I think every person has strong sides, which other one next to you doesn't have. So talking about ballet, I don't know, I might not lift my leg, me might not be able to lift my leg 180 degree, but the colleague does. But is it that important? So you are great in something else, for example, in interpreting the role. So the public will not. If after the performance you hear public saying, "Oh, her pirouettes were amazing," it means you didn't touch them as an artist, because they
Mhm.
should be saying the performance, the story. We understood everything, and she acted so naturally. Or that's the words I would like to hear about my performance, not about high jumps or yeah, technical things. But also, of course, the technique should be so secure and stable that you don't think about it anymore when you go to the stage. That you don't think about the technique, you think only about the character.
The
But there
thing.
are also moments when uh, those technical elements which are pushed to the limit are appropriate. For example, the galas, when
Yeah.
public comes to see, in the good sense, circus, in the good sense of this word, yeah. For example, in Don Quixote Adagio, when ballerina is able to hold the balance um, for the two phrases, this is just incredible. And if you can do this, of course, do it. But it shouldn't take away from you being Kitri at this moment, like in character, in
Right.
positions, in poses, in the looks to your partner. You can do it, but just don't take it. Don't do less in some other spheres of the dancing.
Right. And how much of this approach did you learn at Vaganova? Like approaching characters and approaching different roles
Yeah.
and separating artistry and technique. Is that kind of where you got the foundation?
Absolutely, because I was so lucky to be a student of Ludmila Valentinovna Kovaleva, and this is her approach to teach her girls, her students. Um, she sees your strongest side, and she makes you really show it in your dancing. Um, for example, I'm this flirty, laughing personality. And so for the graduation performance, we had two programs, which is very rare, but we was such a good year, such a successful year, so that everybody chose almost like two things to do because we
Oh,
wanted, and the school let us. I mean, not we, but our teachers with us. And so she chose for me in one program, it was a Don Quixote pas de deux. And I remember this last diagonal of variation, this hops on the point.
mhm.
And she was telling me, like, imagine that in one corner there is one man, in the other corner is the other man, and you do it looking at them. Like, it's not just hops on point, you're flirting
Yeah.
constantly. So she was really pulling it out of me. And for the second program, we chose Tchaikovsky pas de deux. And yes, this is also very, very me. I love it. As every Balanchine choreography is absolutely exhausting, but it's so rewarding. And
Yeah.
I think Tchaikovsky pas de deux is just amazing. The music and the interaction with the partner, and then just fun in the variation and in the coda. It's just amazing. Also, the way Ludmila Valentinovna was teaching us is that um, how can you hide your weak sides? For example, I don't have um, like nice feet. Um, so she was teaching how to show the feet the way that it's less visible to the public, that you don't have the big arch, but very soft, very talking feet. And that started already in the school. And I was lucky enough later on in Vienna to have Manuel Legris as a director, which is French school. And um, he really was demanding on this topic. Of course, French school, we know the food technique is just incredible. And
Mhm.
um, so to combine these two schools, I was very lucky to have this opportunity. Also because, as Manuel was saying himself, um, he likes how in Vaganova school there is this emphasis on uh, dancing with your soul and just dancing, not just doing stuff on stage, not doing the combination, but dancing. And this combined with the amazing food technique of French school, which I was getting taught by him for 10 years in Vienna, it's just amazing.
And you can definitely tell in your performances. And I think like universally, even something as small as the way you place your foot, it's insane how it can translate volumes.
The smallest things, the smallest details are most important in life
Yeah,
also. So
absolutely.
that's because the different characters have even um, different uh, ways of walking. As we talked last time in Manon, even in each act is different way of walking, not just dancing and doing the role, but even how you place your foot every
Mhm.
time. Or I'm not that turnout naturally. So she was teaching how to cheat your standing leg in order to be able to turn out more the working leg, because public doesn't pay attention to the standing leg at that moment. So those little things, basically she was teaching us how to be a ballerina in the school. So this is I don't know, the right place, to be in right place at right moment. and this is luck. Yeah, so this is one of the most important things in our profession is, but you always have to be ready. If they
Mm.
say, oh, everyone is injured, you were reserved, do you know? You have to be ready to jump in.
And I know we talked a little bit last time about exams. Would you mind just telling me a little bit about your exam experience? I know most people watching have probably at some point watched a Vaganova exam on
Mm.
YouTube.
Um, the graduation exams, of course, it's very important part of the whole studying there because it um, sets your professional career off. It's absolutely nerve-wracking because there is this jury of all the teachers of the school. When we graduated, there were also few theater directors. So you really knew like you have to be at your best and you have to show your best side. And first exam is the classical exam, and it's 1.5 hour um, non-stop. And yeah, that you asked last time how the process of getting there is that few months before Kovalova, Lyudmila Valentina, she started to um, invent the combinations or like choreograph the combinations. But because she's absolutely artist until nowadays, still she was not always satisfied with how it looked. So until last day before the exam, she was still changing the combinations, and you have to be smart enough and focus then at the exam enough to not forget which actually which way I'd go now and what is the combination actually is. Um, yeah, and then you show yourself, and it's actually when I watch back our exam, I just cannot understand how we could survive this because it's so physically exhausting. There is like every difficult step that exists in ballet language is in this exam. So but every year it happens and everybody survives, so it's possible. The teachers which are in jury most of the time is the all the teachers of last few years, last 3 years, plus the director of the school. They go to the office of the school director and they um, talking about it for few hours. So this is, I think, the most nerve-wracking moment because you're so nervous about which mark you get that I remember we didn't go to eat, we didn't go out of the school, we were just sitting um, and there is this little space not far from the office of the director. It's we were calling it sofas because there were a few sofas and the TV, and you could there was a carpet on the floor, so you could stretch there and just be there. So we were just all sitting there, our class and the parallel class, because on the same day we did the exam. Yeah, and then when it's over, when the discussion is over, the teacher comes and like we we were like 10, 11 students, including the um, Japanese students, because we had few in our class. So she takes us and um, in really like motherly way. She was saying the marks and maybe reasons why. And yeah, because of course not everybody gets the highest mark, and somebody might be disappointed. So yeah, but that's the way it is. And then few days or weeks later, there is a next exam happening. There is a duet, so partnering, pas de deux class. Then there is character dance. That was probably my favorite subject in school, back to school. And then there is a acting exam and also a modern dance we had. Um, yeah, and then you're out of the school, and um, we were lucky enough. Our year was lucky enough because the directors of the theaters were at the exam. We didn't have to do audition in the theaters to get in, but we already kind of got know um, which theater we are going to, or which theater we were invited to.
Was it kind of a special occasion that some of the theater directors were there?
Yes, it doesn't happen often. Yeah, and I think before it was normal practice, but nowadays it's normal practice that the students then do audition at the theater. But I mean, if they're on the tour with the company or then cannot come, it's not always the case that they can be present. So yeah. And then, of course, before you join the theater, there is the graduation performance
Mhm.
in Mariinsky Theater on this incredible stage. You get to perform, and then the uh, director of the Mariinsky, he was watching. Yes.
How soon after did you find out?
I mean, when you're already before,
Oh, okay.
because it's like teachers get no, and of course they cannot keep it in because because with Ludmila Valentinovna we were 4 years, from the 5th year to the 8th year, so every day, and it's really like family member. It's like
Yeah.
mother to you. So of course, yeah, we knew before. It was interesting moment like a few years ago. Olga Smirnova was guesting in Vienna, which is also student of Kovaleva, and
Mhm.
she came for gala, and we had a performance day before. It was Coppelia from Pierre Lacotte, and she came to watch. And after performance, she came to me and she said, watching you, I really can see corrections from Kovaleva, especially the way I use my feet and the way I slide with my feet. So coming back to this subject, so she definitely, she definitely was the one who uh, grounded this seed of perfectionism in many aspects of dance for me.
It seems like she left her imprint on her students.
Absolutely, yes.
That's so interesting that Olga could
Mhm.
see specific
Yes,
corrections.
yes, yes,
Once you got to the Marinsky, I know you said you were mainly doing core parts, you said?
yes.
What was your experience like in the core?
Um, Also, it's the way Russian theaters working is very different than European theaters. So in Europe, we have those blocks of performances. So we preparing to it few weeks, and then we dance a block of it. I don't know, let's say 8 performances. But in Russia and in Mariinsky, it's completely different. Every evening there is different performance. So as a group dancer, in the morning you come before class to the cast board and you see your name for the first time doing Friends in Giselle, which is for the first year working in Mariinsky is a big thing.
Mm.
And you have one day to rehearse it with the others, and then you perform it in the evening.
Oh my
Luckily, of
gosh.
course, in Vaganova school, everybody knows it. So by the time we graduate, we probably rehearsed every possible spot in every possible classical ballet, starting with small swans, corps de ballet of the swans, because someone was graduating with the second act of Swan Lake as a Odette, and we were corps de ballet. Um, of course, the whole Nutcracker corps de ballet, of course, because it's our like school performance. So we go through each single role through the 8 years of studying. You do every possible role there. Uh, so that's a big plus that when you arrive to the theater, you actually know the steps. Um, for example, of the Swan Lake Swans second act.
Mhm.
So we had like, but for the such important performances where everything is visible, we had two rehearsals. But let's say, for example, for Giselle, Willis, we had like 3 or 4 separate performances, separate rehearsals. The new girls who joined, we had like 5 of us. We learned the steps and which side. So when we joined the Cordoba rehearsal, nobody have to stop because of us. They still had to stop because it's like when you're alone or there are 5 of you, it's completely different than whereas when it's the whole group is there. The spacing is
Yeah.
different, the way they move is different. Also for example, Ballet Imperial from Balanchine, we had
Ooh.
1 week of the separate rehearsals for the corps de ballet, but because it's just impossible to do with one rehearsal. Is first of all, the choreography is so difficult, and there's so much happening on stage, and it should be perfect in line. And yeah, it's very tough, and you have to be totally concentrated all the time to be able to do this.
Did you have a favorite core part?
I think the Chopiniana, it's so special, and the style, and it's not that fast, and you actually can watch soloists when they're dancing because you're
Mhm.
this beautiful apple man. For example, in Swans, you just pray that your standing leg doesn't fall off dur- during the white adagio. Um, so it's not that enjoyable part, but in the Chopiniana, yes, absolutely.
So you were there up until 2005,
Yeah,
right?
I was working there only for 1 season.
Okay.
And then again this luck. Um Gyula Harangozo, who became a director in Vienna September 2005, he happened to be at my graduation performance.
Oh.
I mean, happened to be, of course, he planned it because he knew that he gonna be a director in Vienna in 1 year. So, um, and he himself studied in Moscow. Back then, it was this practice to send Hungarian students to Moscow or St. Petersburg to study because as an exchange student. For example, Tamas Selimoshe, my today's director, he studied in Vaganova. So Gyula Harangoza, he watched my graduation performance, and as he later told me that in this Bayadere first variation, he never saw somebody moving that much in the last part. So like really the full diagonal, and also Don Quixote pas de deux, he really liked it and he remembered my name. And half a year later, he came to visit. He came to watch the festival, the Mariinsky festival, and he saw me dancing in Baya there in the Cordo Ballet um, in the second act. And he actually first asked Vaziv if he might talk to me about job offer, and he said yes. So he asked me to talk, and he offered me to be a soloist in Vienna in few months. And I was absolutely shocked, of course, because it's such a rare opportunity. It happens, but it's very rare when it happens that um, you become a soloist with 19 years old. Also, why I actually, because of course, to be in Mariinsky, it's everybody's dream. But I remember I was dancing two courtesans in Manon, and I was and watching the soloist, and I was thinking, am I ever gonna get this opportunity to dance principal role Manon? Because I would love to do it. And so I knew that it might take a while and be very difficult in Russia. And that's
Mhm.
also really, uh, I was really happy that he asked me to be a soloist in Vienna, and I said yes. So, and at my third season in Vienna, I danced Manon. So, of course, it was not scary. I wouldn't say it was scary to leave, but uncertainty, of course. But at this
Mhm.
age, you don't really care. No,
Yeah.
you just open for adventures, and um, I was really lucky that I said yes, because I would never have the opportunity to dance so many different roles and productions as I did in Vienna if I would stay in Russia.
Did that kind of make the move a little bit easier, knowing that you would have so many more opportunities?
I mean, I didn't know. Didn't know how it would go because being in Russia, you know your concurrents, let's say, but when arrived to Vienna, and it was actually really funny because uh, mm, the concurrence, or like in good sense concurrence, my colleagues were Irina Tsimbal from White Russia, who was working in Budapest before that, um, Aliya Tanikbaeva from Kazakhstan, who was working in Moscow before that. So actually, the concurrence was also very nice, and it made much easier the transition. And also, of course, working with Dula, he was speaking Russian, um, and was also much easier. But at the same time, I had a partner, um, Austrian. He said, um, learn German, I will not speak English to you. And I did. So,
How was that? How was learning German?
well, I have a musical ear,
Mhm.
so it wasn't that difficult. The problem was that I didn't know well enough English. So first, that was the goal first. But there were a lot of Russian speaking colleagues, so didn't go that fast. um, but then, yeah, it took me probably 6, 7 years to learn German, but I never did any course.
Hmm.
I learned it from hearing it, from watching TV, from reading newspapers, and yeah, talking to few colleagues. So, and then I did the driving license in German. So that was it.
You got that done.
Yes.
I always find that so impressive because I that's just a whole separate element to the profession. If you're moving countries, you're inevitably going to have to learn another language, and it's just a whole nother task to add to the job. And I just find that so impressive.
Not everybody are keen to do it
Yeah. Yeah.
because with English you you can work anywhere in the world with English
Right.
language. So also now I I learned Hungarian, but it's going really slow because it's such a different language from any European language. So now 2.5 years in, I'm still at the very beginning. But
Well,
I
you'll
think
get there.
it's kind of a respect to the country where you're working at. So I just I just find it necessary.
That's how I've always seen it too. Just kind of a sign of respect.
Yeah.
So what was your first big part in Vienna?
It was a Kopele by the father of Gyula Harangoza, Gyula Harangoza father, and it was it's very technically demanding role. Besides that, it's really acting role also, especially in the second act. I was a second cast for the premiere. Gyula invited Polina Semyonova
Hmm.
with Tamas Solimoshe, my current director, to dance the premiere, and I was second cast. And Polina is incredibly good dancer, also technically. And for me, this probably was the most difficult part to overcome is that I have to go on stage after her because she was perfect in this role, and it was my first big role. So it was very very challenging for me, very. And very interesting uh, thing is that this season, um so 19 years later, I got to dance it again. I got to work with Gyula Harangozo again, and
Oh,
it
wow.
was so much more enjoyable and so much more easier because of course I have the experience, I know how to do technical elements, so I could enjoy so much more. It's like a circle, and he brought me to Vienna, and now I'm here in his country and I got to work with him again, so it was really nice.
Oh, full circle,
Full
less
circle.
pressure. That's
Yes.
amazing. You were in the original cast for Le Corsair with
Mhm.
Manuel Legris. How did that come about?
Well, first of all, it was a huge honor for me to be in the original cast because it was first production that Manuel did, and it's something very special. And but also it's a lot of pressure because, as I mentioned before, Manuel is absolute perfectionist,
Mhm.
and in the good sense of this word. So the premiere was, I think, 20th to 21st of March, and we started working on it, on the choreography, or like learning the choreography in beginning of December. So it was really intensive 3 months, 4 months, yes, 4 months, and um, yeah, and then the DVD which you mentioned, um, we actually recorded few years later when it's already got into the body enough, and I think it was better for everybody. So I was already feeling very comfortable in this production, and that's why maybe it looks. The dancing looks that way, that it's m- kind of mine, like
Hmm.
it's me on stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because it would be very stressful if we would record it in the first year.
Was that your first experience in the Corsair? Like, have you danced other roles in that ballet before?
uh no, so it was premiere for me and premiere for the whole theater.
Amazing. And then you worked on Sylvia with Manuel as
Also,
well.
yes, yes, yes.
Was that around the same time?
No, it was later. It was few years later. I don't want to say something wrong, but probably like 3 years later, he choreographed Sylvia, and I really like this role. It's very woman power performance, and I think it's the scenery is beautiful. The music is very powerful. Yeah, I really enjoy this one also.
The experience with Manuel overall, how was it? I'm assuming great.
Uh, I mean, I'm really grateful to Manuel for these 10 years and the opportunities that he gave me, and the way he pushed me forward. It's just incredible. The the level that he brought the whole company at. I think it was the best time of Vienna State Opera that ever was. So there was this constant pressure, in the good sense, pressure to get better, because Manuel himself, he was doing class every day with us, um, even though he's just few years older. But it was incredible to see how disciplined he is.
Mhm.
So actually, you didn't have um, possibility to say, "Oh, I'm tired today," because next to you is someone who is he can allow himself not to do class. He doesn't need it, but he's still there every day. He was on almost every rehearsal, uh, like all the classical and not even classical productions. He was always in the studio, always. So actually, it's a huge plus, because then going on stage and knowing the director is watching, um, normally it's very nerve-wracking. But
Mhm.
because he was always there, you knew, um, if the pirouette doesn't work, he will not get mad at you. Also, because he was always saying, it's just a pirouette. As long as you um, there, and his phrase is risk it. um, and, and as long as the performance still happening, he was happy. And um, he's also very emotional person, so you really could see when something didn't satisfy him. So, um, which is also very good because you always had honest feedback.
Mm,
So you always knew, okay, I have to push more next time, next performance. Okay, it was really not enough. Or when it was good, it was really good, and you could see on him that he liked it. Of course, we feel ourselves how was the performance, but often there's this strange thing that you feel it was good, but it didn't came through as that good. Especially it happens in the dramatic performances
mm,
because you might feel crazy inside, but public doesn't see that you're crazy. So you have to know
yeah.
how to play it in the way that they see it. So yeah. So I it wasn't easy 10 years for me because that's also when my injury happened because of so much work and pushing myself over the limits. But on the other hand, it was amazing time.
I was going to ask a little bit about your injury and kind of what happened and the process of recovery.
What happened is that I didn't listen to my body. So that's another very important advice to the young generation. Um, if something hurts, it doesn't mean that uh, you have to push over it or it just because yesterday you worked a bit more. No, it's absolutely wrong set of mind in our profession. If something hurts, it means you're doing it not the right way for your body. There is a safe way to practice ballet and be good in ballet in safe way for your body. So each body is different, but the goal is to figure out how your body works
Mm,
and how, for example, when I watch my first class in Vaganova exam, I just don't understand how my knees never popped out because I mentioned already I'm not that turned out, but they were still like pushing me to be in the absolute turnout first position. So how I
mm,
was achieving it with rolling in and rolling in my knees. So it's very unhealthy. And if they would tell me like use more your thighs muscles, back, side, and inside muscles, and not just let the knee go in that much. Um, that would be a safer way. Thanks God, I didn't have any knee injuries, but yeah, so I didn't listen to my body, and I had strong pain in my Achilles for half a year. And actually, because of I was trying to avoid the pain, which made it even worse because it overworked one side of the um, where ligament connects to the bone, and that caused the growth of the extra bone on the heel bone behind the Achilles. And it was 6 millimeter long by the time it happened. So it, literally the bone scratched my Achilles from behind, this extra bone. And I didn't even go to do MRI or to any doctor to check it.
mm,
Um, so it just broke, gave up because it was so much work, and the body said, okay, if you don't listen, then you have to stop. And yes, it was a terrifying moment in my career because since I was 4 years old, I was always moving. And
mm,
when it happened, I had to, I was not allowed to step on my leg for 6 weeks after the operation. And I was wearing this uh, beautiful boot, the moon boot, they call it. Yeah, so like 1 week after the operation, my calf um, just disappeared. So it was like my forearm that thin.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and then I had to literally learn how to walk again. And uh, for someone who was always moving, this really um, terrifying. So um, mentally, there was, of course, mental side of it is always most difficult, and I didn't know if I can come back at all and on the same level that I was, but actually. Through the years, I learned that um, after injuries, I mean, it's hard way of learning, but you come back in the better shape and better place in your profession because unfortunately through the injuries we learn what exactly I said before, how to listen to your body and how to do good to your body and not work against your body. And also before the injury, I was just doing
Mm,
without, because I have a good coordination and I'm musical, I'm good, having good acting skills. So I was just using all of this. But after injury, I had to switch on my brain first. So because also after the operation, I was so eager to come back as fast as possible. Um, I came back after 3 months,
oh
which is
wow.
absolutely insane and unhealthy. And as a result, I had a constant pain for next 5 years. So I was working through the pain with the painkillers, and the physio was saying like, you have to stop, you have to let your body recover, but of course not. So what happened? I broke my Achilles one more time, just different way. It split it along, it split it 2 centimeters. And my physio said, literally, it's the best thing that could happen to you because now again you are forced to rest and to
Mm,
let your body recover and heal, properly heal because it didn't happen the first time around. So also this is the advice, like don't rush back. Nobody will say thank you to you if you come back earlier. Nobody feel what you feel. Only you feel your body, and only you can say this pain is bearable or unbearable. And it shouldn't be pain at all. Like, it's okay, sore muscles here and there, but not pain that you just cannot walk. This is not a normal state. It was difficult way, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, about my body, about my character again.
mm,
So I remember a moment when after operation, I traveled back to Russia to visit my mother. And because she's a doctor, so she said, okay, let's bring your MRI, after operation MRI to the orthopedist and to check. And we did, and so he opened the pictures and he said, "But you understand that you're never gonna dance again, or?" And I was like, also that's, for example, like if you really want something, you will achieve it.
mm.
Don't let people who actually don't have any interest in your career, in your life, and what's happening to you, bring you down or ruin your career. It all depends on you. Of course, the like medical team and physiotherapeuts and massage. Of course, it's absolutely important, and the opinion, professional opinion is important, but everything starts in your head,
Yeah.
everything. So if you wake up in the morning and you say, oh, it's today I have a lot of rehearsals, my leg gonna hurt so much, believe me, it will. But if you say, um, oh, okay, this rehearsal might be not that difficult. I'm with the partner there, so we might do just adagios. Um, on this rehearsal, okay, I push, but actually that's it. And it will be fine. And it will be fine at the end of the day. So, yeah. But it's everywhere in life like this. If you're positive about something, it will have positive outcome, even if it's less positive that you wished for, but it's still gonna be positive.
Yeah. Have you always kind of have you always
No,
had that?
no, but when I moved to Hungary, I met an amazing physio, and yeah, she specializes in ballet dancers, which is absolutely rare. And she's not just physio, but also mental coach, and it absolutely changed my uh, life, I would say. Not just the way I see my profession or I look at the physical aspect of my profession, but also in life. Yeah.
It's apparent just the way that you have a way of carrying yourself, and it gives off a very positive energy. I just appreciate it. It's a very
I, I
beautiful energy.
I am very positive person from nature, but there was this moment in my career, injury and few other things, and then Corona, like
Mm.
which completely like turned the way I see things. And so I'm very happy to be back to my normal me.
Happy to have you back.
Thank you.
How was working through COVID?
In Vienna, it started in March, end of March. So until middle of May, we didn't have any classes or anything because everybody was just in shock. Nobody knew uh, what to do. I mean, everybody went through it. Like you didn't know how long gonna be locked down, what is happening, how um, dangerous it is actually. And we got presented presents from the opera. Each of dancers got 1.5 by 1.5 square meter of linoleum, so we could train at home. And somewhere beginning middle of May, we started Zoom classes at home. And because it was also last season of Manuel, so it would be
Oh.
absolutely pity not to do any final gala because it was Manuel's idea, and every year, end of the season, we had Nuriyev Gala,
Mm.
which is a very nice way of finishing the season. And so he pushed, and thankfully the general director, Dominic Mayer, he was absolutely behind him about it. Um, we couldn't use the stage, but we did like 45, 50 minutes gala in the studio. So a few of
Oh,
dancers, principals, um, I danced second act Manon variation.
nice.
And of course, before that, we had to start do proper training. So somewhere beginning of June, we started to do training in groups. So 10 people with masks, so we could have the safe distance, and we were doing the tests every day, this fast test and PCR tests twice a week, and so and then we filmed this, and there was a live broadcast of
Oh,
this one part, and then second and third part. They combined 9 years best parts of 9 years of Nuriyev Gala. So it was really nice. It was like a perspective of the last 10 years of working with Manuel, and we all got together at the end of it. So it was nice way of saying goodbye to an era, actually. And then from the next season, from September, we got a new director, and we worked for 1.5 months. We performed Jewels program, and there was lockdown again, and
mm,
lockdown which lasted until beginning of May. So from 1st of November, there was the last performance until beginning of May. We didn't perform. We did one online performance, but that was it. But we were able to train and rehearse, which was also not the healthiest because constantly someone was positive, so we had to sit in the quarantine for 10 days and then come back and rehearse, for example, Giselle, because in Austria, the government was saying, so for next 2 weeks, we have lockdown, and in 2 weeks, we're gonna let you know. So there was
mm,
always a chance. Then in 2 weeks, we reopen, and we have Giselle performance 3 days after. So of course, we had to work on it, but it was very unhealthy way for body. Few injuries happened, and yeah, let's be honest, the year was lost out of
mm.
our professional lives. Yeah, it was very difficult because since young age we are trained like sportsmen. We are trained to uh, work towards the goal. Let's say I know I have Bayader in June, so I have now 1.5 months to work on it. So I know when I have to start really pushing, um, how much time I have. And so for whole year, there was nothing like that. So we didn't know. So of course, motivation was absolutely gone.
Yeah,
Um, Finally, dancers could, I don't know, do other things. Um, Grill, go on the weekday for a grill party or something like this, like normal things. And yeah, it was very complicated time for us, for everybody, of course, but for us,
yeah,
because that's the way we work, we function, we keep in shape, but we were absolutely out of shape, all of us. And that
yeah.
was frustrating.
How hard was it to get back to pre-COVID shape?
Honestly, I think I only got into the same shape when I joined Budapest,
Mm,
because the repertoire was not for me, what was not demanding enough, or it was not hard enough in good sense to bring me back to the same point or same level how I was before. And you can do yourself, I don't know, 5 hours of class every day, or rehearse yourself all possible variations. But if you don't go on stage as a dancer, you are not in shape. Same, I always say for class, if you don't jump on class, you're not in shape. Because there are a lot of dancers, young dancers, who say, but I have rehearsal after, let's say, I don't know, donkey show. There are only jumps. Uh, but how do you, without jumping on class, how do you prepare your body to the jumping and the rehearsal? And that's where injuries start, actually.
I was wondering, I know we talked last time, this might be jumping back in time a little bit, but we talked about Manon, and I know we both
Mhm.
love that role. I was just wondering if you would be willing to just
Mhm.
kind of share your experience a little bit about that role.
Yeah, it's one of my absolute favorite roles, and it's so versatile. It's so artistically demanding that at the end of the ballet, I'm just empty. I don't have any emotions left when the curtain goes down. Yeah, it's in the first act. She's mm, young, cheerful, but at the same time, she knows what she would like to. Um, and there is the brother on her side who shows the possibility, but she falls in love truly. And so it's again different Manon from the first scene and then from the bedroom part of them. She's absolutely in love with Degriot and adores him. And but then brother brings Jam, and she just can't resist the wealth and position in society which comes with this wealth. So she um, agrees to live with Jam. In the second act, few years later, she has it all, but she's absolutely bored and, of course, not enjoying it because there is no love.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, she sees the griot who is still in love with her and who is still adoring her. And um, she remembers there's this moment when he throws himself into her feet, and she turns and sees his eyes. And for me, that's the moment that she remembers how it was, the true love, and that the moment when she actually ashamed of herself and cannot stand his look. Actually, she just leaves because of that, but she decides to do something to help and to live with the griot. So um, and they manage to leave even though the brother is injured, but they manage. And then there's this bracelet pas de deux when she tries to be the um, to find this old connection, and she tries to be cheerful, but he totally understands that they have to flee, and there is a real danger to their lives. And from one side, he really enjoys to be with her again. He enjoys her personality, but from other side, he's a realist. So he says, "We have to leave. Stop being playful with me." And then the brother gets killed. I love this moment in the ballet because it's so like realistic, so natural, and I really can be natural. You don't need to point your feet there and in your
Mm,
runs. You just have to be absolutely desperate. And then the third act, um, there is just 8 counts in the music of hope when they get off the ship, and then immediately the governor comes to her, so the hope for the better life immediately gone, and she sees that the trouble is coming, and it really does. But she has no power anymore. She has no mental power to fight,
mm,
because she lost everything also on the ship. She lost her hair, um, no clothes, nothing left. Only the griot left. And that's what I was talking about last time, that before the pas de
mm,
deux with the governor, there is this music, there's nothing happening on stage, only the set being changed, and there is only music, um, which is incredibly sad, and it brings you even more in this state of being desperate, and the whole world is against them, and they cannot do anything to avoid those troubles, because she's just pretty. So uh, I always stand in the wings and preparing myself to the duet with the um, governor, and I almost cry every time because of this amazing music. The duet happens, and she just lets him do everything to her, because she just cannot. She has no power. She has nothing to fight him with. And then Degrio kills him, so he goes over his limits, like he didn't do it before, but he's ready to do it for her, even that. So, mm, and they have no other choice but to flee again. And so the last part of the swamp and the visions, and so absolutely, she's almost gone. And
mm,
the only what keeps her alive is his um, optimistic view that they still can make it. So um, in the last part of the every movement for me is just a struggle, like struggle to breathe, the struggle to make next step, to walk. So for me, it was very important, especially this time, because I'm more analyzing everything by now. Those Grandbatmans, it was important for me not to do as a Grandbatman, but as a slow leg lift, and like really to show that um, it's really struggle for her to move her limbs,
mm,
to to hold herself up. Yeah, and then it's just such a strong emotion always, and um, it's so fast over this part that I never like realized that it's, oh, actually it's done. That's it. And um, because I try to show that there is no power anymore, and there is no emotions anymore, so I can kind uh, of course I live through this part of there, but kind of at the same time you just let it pass. That's the feeling I wanna like transcribe to the public. Yeah,
mm.
that's why at the end, when you bow, you just cannot smile, you just cannot be
Yeah.
yourself, because it just so strong emotions and exhausting emotions. now we worked with Dana Forez, and it was incredible. It was uh, very special how she was coaching us because um, she was asking us questions. What do we would like to show at this moment? So it was very like inspiring to think how would I do this in life? Like when in the bracelet padded there, she hugs the bed and he comes and he sees the bracelet. What does Manon feel at this moment? Is she
Mm.
actually sticking it in his face, or she um, really forgot about it that she has it on? Does she get like uncomfortable, or is she um, torturing him in the way? Like it's really the way you wanna show it is very different. Um, Depends on what you wanna show and what you wanna act. It's really different the steps then and how you move. Of course, it's the same choreography, but how you do every step is then different.
You worked with Monica Mason, which is
Yes.
incredible.
Yes,
And
it was. It was incredible, and it was. I mean, I was 21, and um, I danced it back then with Robert Susley. Um, I mean, you cannot
that's
wish
amazing.
for better partner in first time doing Manon. Incredible, just such a good experience, and also she working with her. Um, she was saying these corrections that I never heard before, like let go of your head, don't hold your neck. Um, Free up your arms because it was first I mean I did the Romeo from Cranco before that, but that was first Macmillan ballet and first neoclassical ballet which I did, so it was something absolutely new to me, and I was remembering her correction also this time around when we were rehearsing, and of course I was like even more exaggerating it, and it gives uh, um, such a note to the Manon character that she's just a
Hmm.
free spirit, you know.
I think it's so incredible how through your performance, there's also all of these other notes from teachers just kind of
Absolutely. Yeah,
combined.
absolutely.
It's
Yes.
incredible.
And my second experience, second time that I danced Manon, I danced with Friedman Vogel.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's just incredible because he is Degrio himself. How
Yeah.
he looks, how he looks at you, how he walks, he just looks at you over his shoulder. Incredible. It was such a pleasure to work with him on it, and um, such a beautiful person also to work with. It's very special experience for me.
Thank you for telling me about that again. I just I'd been thinking about it since the first time we talked about it, and I
Mm.
don't know, something about that ballet just
Yes, yes.
really sticks with me. And
This time when we were rehearsing, the teacher from here, from the opera, he asked me, um, I read somewhere you said Manon is your favorite role, but why? And I was telling him all this, and then after the second performance, he came to me and he said, "Okay, I really see why. I really could see why, like all those elements that I tried to bring into this role." He said he really could see, and it was very special.
so, how did you make the move to from Austria to Budapest? What was that? What prompted that move?
Well, as I mentioned before, the repertoire was not that exciting for me, and but I was still like absolutely sure I will never leave Vienna. And then in 2022 April, we got a repertoire for next season. And looking at that, I really understood that I might dance one main role in the next season, which for principal dance for any dancer is a death, professional death.
Yeah.
And I had few colleagues who was saying, but come on, you did everything already. You danced everything. You traveled the world. You um, what you want else? Come on, just stay here. Um, be satisfied. And I was trying, but it's not me. And
Mm.
I still feel this urge to dance and to be on stage and to create and to perform and um, just enjoy this art. So also knowing that Tamas Solimoshi, he was looking for principal dancers. I mean, ballet world is small, so you always
Mhm.
hear. So knowing that, I wrote to him, and he said, "Yeah, when can you come?" So, and I'm incredibly thankful to him for that opportunity and that he invited me to join the company and um, that he is such a supportive director and yeah, also that the repertoire here is amazing. With my experience, I still get to have premieres each single season. Like last season, it was Spartacus. This season, it was Merivido. It will be Nikia in June. So um, I'm keep growing. It's not that I'm only dancing the same roles
Mm.
or like revisiting like Manon this season or Negan last season. But I'm keep getting new opportunities and I'm keep growing. So that is very I find this very important for everybody, but for dancers especially uh, that you uh, not don't stop being hungry for uh, more more art, more roles, more
Mm.
performances, um, more searching of new ways in the old roles. Uh, yeah, that's what I really enjoy, and I feel very supported um, by everybody. Literally, the colleagues are amazing. The teachers are very supportive, and they give this freedom of creating and creativity, and also, of course, director.
It's an amazing company. I was doing a little bit more research after we talked the first time, and I didn't even realize how many other dancers that I've been following also are your colleagues. I had
Hmm.
no idea.
Yeah, I think the company is on very, very high level, and the
Yeah, absolutely.
production that we dance is very interesting. The repertoire is very special.
I would love to see it. Hopefully one day.
Come and see.
Oh, I wish. So I know we touched on Instagram, the influence of Instagram, good and bad, lately. It's been very prevalent in the ballet world, and the ballet world is small. I am just curious as to, do you ever feel pressured by maybe seeing the things I see, like the crazy extensions, the crazy pirouettes. Do you ever feel comparison to that?
I'm not getting any pressure or any like um, yeah, ideas from that because I
Yeah.
have my standards and values in my
Mhm.
profession, which are important for me and which I follow. Um, I think the danger is for young dancers in it, students, and we already see it on the competitions that it's really dance losing its soul. It's not about performing anymore. It's just about getting the places and getting
Mhm.
noticed and how many periods you turn and how high your leg is. It's just very um, sad because our art is not about that. Our art is about touching the souls of public, um, leaving some things to think about later, that the public goes home and says, wow, that's Romeo and Juliet performance. I was crying. Wow, I
Mhm.
still remember it's 3 years later. That's the goal of our profession. And if you do 7 pirouettes, no one will appreciate it if it's especially off music. Uh,
Yeah.
there is no need for that. There are dance forms where it's needed and where it's wanted, but ballet it's not the one. Um, I don't know what is the point of young girl doing 8, 9 pirouettes and all students are out cheering her and then teacher posting it on Instagram and then in the competition performance it wasn't that amazing. So um, maybe I'm saying some very controversial things, but
You're
try
saying
to
exactly how I feel.
in first and foremost be an artist, not an
Mm,
acrobat. There is a other uh, profession for that,
mm.
not ballet.
What's next for you? I know you have Dare in June. What else is coming up for you?
Um, well, then 2 weeks of vacation, which is very rare for
Nice.
me. Uh, yes, in next season I will dance Romeo and Juliet by Laszlo Seregi here at Budapest. So it will be a premiere for me again because I
Amazing.
never did this production. And yeah, there is also might be a collaboration for a video project with my ex-colleague from Vienna, Maxim Kveroga, which I'm very looking forward to also. And yeah, for now it's next tasks, next goals.
Well, thank you. Thank you, thank
Th-
you, thank you. This
Thank you
has
so
been
much for your interest, really. It's really nice.
I appreciate the first conversation and I appreciate you willing to be patient with
Of
me
course.
and sit down with me again. This was just incredible.